Hello friends, Melly Ponfedith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. I'm delighted to bring to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders around the globe, and today I have my friend, my awesome friend, Hellen Yuan. Thank you so much, Hellen, for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited because you are going through so many different shifts, and since I've known you, many pivots. So I'd love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself to our community and talk about the work that you're currently doing in the world.
Well, I'm the founder of Hellen, which is a beauty and wellness company to bring healing tools to the modern living. I believe that every person is a healer themselves, and that they just need assistance to open up their body, to receive information, and to also heal their own body. So I'm creating a bunch of different products that supports that.
What is it that inspires you to move in this direction of healing and wellness for not only yourself, but for so many people around the world who really don't take the time out to do self-care and self-love? So can you give a little bit about the backstory of how you got here?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting adventure. I mean, basically, I started out in fashion, and I was consulting and designing and helping to build people's businesses and launching them for the last 12 years, but really in the business of fashion for the last 22 to 23 years. So since I was like 18, 17 or something like that, I started in the business. So I've always been somehow immersed in that business. How I found where I'm at today is through the journey of like a lot of loss, and in that loss I call it like that's where the meat was at. You know, like that was like my greatest lesson. And so when my father got sick with cancer, I was already like pretty in touch with like my intuition and all those things, but I started finding myself coming up with different rituals and releasing a lot of like stories and a lot of things that were holding my mind, body, and soul back. And so one of the items that, I created was the bath brew. And that kind of became a ritual for me. Bathing became a real consistency in my life. My father passed away. 3 months later, my ex-husband left me. And like literally a week later, I was audited for a 3-year audit of my business. And so they say the biggest stressors, I read an article, of one's life to like really, stress people out is the loss of a parent, divorce, and tax audit. And I got all of that all in like 6 months. So that really turned a lot upside down for me. And meanwhile, at the same time, I was launching 3 brand new brands on New York Fashion Week. So if you watch fashion shows, it's so great and it's so pretty, but every single garment has to be fitted, source the fabric, thought of, conceptualized. I created all that with them, and so I didn't really have time for self-care. I didn't really know what that really meant because I didn't face tragedy before in this kind of scale. And so when that was all collided, it happened, my routine got shifted. I would find myself like my body just taking a really big beating because I had to really suit up and be this professional in the day. And then what do I do with myself? It's like by the time I'm done working, I couldn't go massage. I couldn't go, acupuncture and all those things. And so what I found myself doing is I found myself taking a bath and seeing how productive my dog, Lucas, it's my guard dog. Hey. Sorry.
That's all right. We're just going to roll with it.
This is what happens in my
That's right.
I don't have children, but I have a dog. That's a big voice. And so basically I ended up creating products that, like in the stages that I went through. So it was, really about centering your heart. Center your heart is about like opening heart, receiving and giving, right? And then emerge from the fog is really about like, oh my gosh, someone's in my front door.
All right, let's pause.
Pause.
Yeah. All right, Helen, we're back.
Okay, yeah, sorry about the interruption. So basically, Sunnier Hearts all about loving yourself, opening up yourself up for the world, and then receiving love from the world. And, when you go through tragedy and loss and heartbreak, you want to put a wall up. So what I found, in the blend is that it helped me to really kind of like be with everything, be with the loss, like, how do I turn this into something positive? I don't think it's something that you particularly like do immediately. It's something that, which is why I look at bathing as a ritual, because it's something that over time your heart really accepts and can release. So Sunnier Heart it's one of my brews. And then I created Emerge from the Fog. Emerge from the Fog is basically like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, I can't see where I'm going. But somehow there's a clarity. Somehow things clear up in the bathtub when you really sit and be with yourself and be with your thoughts and give yourself time. And so Emerge from the Fog is and what's beautiful is every single brew has custom music. And Emerge from the Fog is this couple, Electric Dynasty, that created a custom sound bath for the bath.
Wow.
In 20 minutes. And so it has like whale sounds, like, and I imagine it like whales coming up in the fog, and it's like just this serene, gorgeous. And then Feet on the Ground is like when you're in your head too much and you're not in your body enough. And you need, like, you're carrying too much of everybody's stuff and you can't even get to your own heart. You can't get into your own being, you can't get centered because you're so much thinking about everything that's going on, everything that's wrong, everything that you should be doing and you're not doing, and comparing yourself, and now I'm divorced, and it's like too much chatter. So it helps to just silence that and then help you to get like into like who you are. Right. Then Shooting into the Stars is the fourth brew, and that brew is really about like capturing that creativity, reinventing yourself. How do you like create something out of nothing? How do you create your life, when you felt like it fell apart?
Right.
So the bathing for me, depending on the oils, and the reason why I have stones is because stones have a consistent vibration that helps to balance your chakras. And being in the water, water works as that conduit to help to mediate your chakra vibrations and like come to that harmony. And so the rocks have that harmony vibration because it's been compressed for so many years, So, and that's why stones are really effective on our bodies, and that some people are more sensitive to it. They can feel it. So when you drop it into the water, that's all you have to do. You don't have to think too much about it,
right.
And then you use the music to unlock your body, to transport you. So I kind of call it landscape cinematic music. And that music really has no words, but has an emotion, right? And in it, you'll hear like let's say for Sunnier Heart, you'll hear the chakra for the heart chakra, like that, because your chakras are all measured by gigahertz. So you'll hear a gong and that hits your heart chakra. So all the music's really intentional. Like I listen to 620 different strings, you know, and picked out the perfect one. Like, and that whole creation was actually with my ex-husband. Like he did most of the landscape music. And it was very healing for me, you know. So this whole process of my product was almost like the final touches of my healing of this journey that I've been on for the last 6-7 years. And so I found myself through the process, as I was doing Reiki, I would find myself in the bath. And I became a practitioner, Reiki practitioner. So I Reiki all the products and really set intentions in them and really put like really strong, good vibration and love, you know, into the product. And so for me, it's like my products really just became like all of my learnings in one jar.
Well, this is so perfect because, you know, part of the interview series is really talking about mindful, conscious leadership. And I feel like through the process of the healing journey, you do have to really look inward and reflect, and you have to find the tools that will help you do that, right? So that you can have clarity around your own purpose in life. And I think that the process of healing is part of that journey to becoming more mindful. It's kind of like chicken before the egg, right? It's like, how do we become more mindful? You have to go through the process, do the daily routines and the rituals to become more mindful. So let's pause there for a second, because I want to come back to your work and how you advance missions through this healing process. But before that, I would like for you to share maybe a story or give a shout out to someone in your life who has been mindful, conscious leader that has really helped you to shift who you are and your way of being in the world. Do you have someone that you'd like to highlight or a story to share?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. That's a tough question. I would probably say the most current person right now is Kelly Elizabeth. She's someone that went through the Reiki Master Program. We kind of simultaneously, you know, were getting our Reiki certification at that time. And we both kind of branched out and quit our old life jobs and dove really straight into, you know, all of this that we're doing right now. And she creates these healing retreats. And her retreats have been so phenomenal. They, you know, she basically will whisk you away in Costa Rica or Peru. You go for about a week, and I promise you, you go in one person and you come out the other end more of who you are.
Oh, that's great.
And it's been such a phenomenal, like, it really sets my year. So my year doesn't begin Jan 1. My year begins when I go on this retreat. And I've gone for the last 2 years, and this coming year we're going we're going back to Peru to do plant medicine retreat. And we're actually planning to work on a product together, because Peru is just, that land is so special. And we're going to be working with indigenous people in Peru, and a large percentage of the proceeds will go back to fund the indigenous people. And this is going to be a new product, you know, segment in my offering. And we're going to be working with all the plants that are grown at the Sacred Valley. And if you know anything about the Sacred Valley, the vibration on the land, on Mother Earth there, it's really now supposed to be like the North Pole of spirituality, and the South Pole is India. And for many years it was opposite, and it just shifted. So you really feel like, it's very difficult for me to explain, but when you walk on that land, like, you don't need anything. Like, the land heals you.
Right.
And it was just really, so yes, I'm super excited because we're creating together, working with Indigenous people, which is a dream of mine, in products. So I'm not even sure what that looks like.
Right.
But I know that with my certification, I'm going to go in with a lot of knowledge of like what we can create. So she's somebody that I really admire. The way she sets up her retreats, takes care of people on this whole level that only people that are wealthy get treated like royalty in this way, but everything's curated. Like the place that we were living at, they grow all the vegetables on the land, and so it's literally from the backyard onto your plate, and it tastes like amazing. And
sounds fabulous.
It just really nourishes you, and it's really added to my community, but now it's an international community.
Right. You just keep expanding and exploring this whole new concept. Well, it's not even a new concept. It's going back to the original concept of community and healing and the old medicine traditions, right?
And slowing down. It's like consciously slowing down and slowing down and being with people and everyone deciding like, yes, we're all going to slow down right now.
Right.
And then when you sit in Machu Picchu and you go to the temple and you pray in the sacred land there that is for prayer, like you look out into the civilization that built on this ridge top, like a mountaintop, and the whole thing has not disintegrated by rain because it rains like crazy in Peru. Yeah. You just think there's nothing impossible.
Right. I've heard so much about it, and I'd love to go there someday. So thanks for sharing all the interesting, intricate details, especially about the Indigenous communities there. Okay, I'm going to move to the next question, and the next question is about characteristics of people who really are championing change in the world, community builders. When you spend time with them and when you're hanging out with the folks in Peru, right, all these amazing change agents, what are some of the characteristics that come to mind in terms of being consistent? This is the type of people who are always showing up in this way.
I think one, being connected with nature, respecting nature for the greatness it is, and offering blessings to nature first. Two, I would say eating local, eating close to where you live, and being in season, in the movement. So if you travel a lot, wherever you go, you should be eating what the local area is. That really helps to nourish your body. I think three, having time to have great conversations and not being digitally distracted, as funny as that is, because we're on Zoom, right. Using it for the benefits that like this, where we're not in the same city, but we can connect.
Yeah.
But then there's a time and a place for that. And then there's also a time to shut it down.
Mm-hmm. Or we can actually sit in front of each other and share a meal and have real conversations. And I can look in and see your eyeballs, not through a screen, but physically see those eyeballs, right?
Yeah. And exactly what you said, communing with each other, sitting and having a meal, bringing all kinds of people together at one table. I mean, it's something that shifting this whole way of living for me, at times it's not been easy. I felt like, oh, I should be out there, I come from a very cool industry and everyone's doing all this really cool thing, but really at the end of the day, that stuff really doesn't matter. It's all the little things in life, and what you get to do every day, and being able to sit around a table in Peru with a shaman and, different people from different countries. You know, it's like, and everybody's there to do the work. Like, that's really been really refreshing. And then I think just in traveling, you know, for me has also been just being able to like understand the world better and just being really grateful. Like I live in Brooklyn, like, you know, by myself, it's like really expensive, and being able to see like how the world lives is really humbling.
It's beautiful. Well, I heard global viewpoints, accepting different cultures.
Yeah.
Being involved in different traditions and really trying to understand what happens when you're on the ground and communing with people. I love that. It's a unique perspective because you have traveled so much to talk about characteristics that are much more broad and global. So I appreciate that. My next question, Helen, is about just challenging times. You've mentioned in your story that you shared so beautifully earlier about the losses that you've had. So when times have been difficult, besides the rituals that you've created for bathing and now creating these bath brews, is there a quote, a motto, or philosophy that you can share with our community that you go to or tap into to kind of reboot and reframe where you are?
Oh, wow. I think one of them is like, when they show you who they are, believe them.
Wow. Yeah.
The first time.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think you have to elaborate on that. I don't think that's ever been shared yet on the interview series, but that is one of the best ones out there yet.
And I think that taking that face value and not making it wrong, you know, like not making someone wrong of whatever they're showing you, and just having grace and empathy, because whatever that person's showing you, you were that at one point in life as well. You've showed up that way, right? And then it's like, I feel like it opens up your wisdom in like where you're headed and where you want to go and what kind of conversations you want to really be in.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the last question I have for you is, what would a better world look like through your eyes?
Oh gosh. I think a better world to me is a world of community, to understand that we have one world, that we may be different people and nationalities, but we're all human beings that bleed, that desire the same thing, that love, that, you know, get challenged, that weather the storm, and to be able to really like reach beyond yourself and understanding like what makes people how they are, you know, and understanding that at the end of the day, we all have the same basic needs.
Yes, we do.
And just really how to create that environment for people to all sustain and to be able to still have their own voice, is something that, you know, I really like envision like our world to be, and not to abuse it, you know, like with this whole conversation with climate change, it's a very serious conversation. We don't have plan B, you know?
Right.
And so it really surprises me a lot of times that we're debating about it, when you see the way we're living and how, you know, how we're living clearly is affecting the earth. Right. And Mother Nature is showing us in, you know, the last 4 years, it's been Category 5 hurricanes. That's not a perhaps that, oh, it just happens or whatever. There's, you know, a lot of science behind all this stuff. And so I think for us to just be able to take face value and just take responsibility, you know, if we all can take little responsibilities for our actions, it would be a different world. Like if we all, you know, walked a little further instead of jumping in a car, or, if we, you know, took different options, took a train rather than a plane all the time, like, you know, all those little actions make a big difference in our world today. Mm-hmm. And even just, you know, in terms of like interactions with people, a little kindness like really changes everything, you know, saying hi to someone, like, and when, you know, for no reason, just being nice to them, right. Just because, you know. So for me, it's really like you never know what one is going through. And I think now being crushed, you know, and really needing just a smile from someone because I felt so crushed, it's like I'm seeing how important all these little things that we do in our everyday interactions make such a difference in one's life, you know, and you really don't know where people are at.
All right. Thank you so much, Helen, for sharing all of that. And I'm glad that you ended on that note about the little acts of kindness. And it really is, it comes full circle with this whole idea of community and oneness. So thank you. How can our community get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach you and learn more about you and your brand and your bath brews?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's www.hellen with two L's, HELLEN .nyc. You can always reach out to us on there, and somebody will always get back to you. And also just to read a little bit more about the story and see how it's developed. And there's a lot of product launches coming out soon. So yeah, stay abreast.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for sharing and being so vulnerable today to share your story. Really appreciate you.
Thanks. Thanks for putting up with my dog.
You're fine. This is real life, right? Yeah. So again, thanks for those that are watching. Please remember to nominate yourself and someone in your community that's making a huge difference. Visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you again, Helen.
Bye.